All right, hi everyone. I'm CBS19 Chief Meteorologist Brett Anthony here in the CBS19 Weather Center along with meteorologist Chandler Jordan. We are bringing this live update to you on our tornado watch that is in effect for much of deep East Texas. Tyler and Longview not included in that watch right now. I am going to be tuning in here on our Facebook page here in just a second. So I'm going to try to be able to read your comments. Let's see if this will work. All right. There we go. All right. Audra from Houston County. All right, Audra. Good thing that you have tuned in here because Houston County about to get hit with a really heavy thunderstorm. In fact, that lightning now that we're seeing flashing on our Nacogdoches camera, and you just saw it, is likely in association with the storm that is headed into Houston County. Check it out. There's Crockett. Thunderstorm is right on the doorstep. It is a rotating thunderstorm. Currently, I have the warnings turned off, Chandler. Just the severe thunderstorm. This is a tornado watch that's in effect. We do have a severe thunderstorm warning on that cell, but not for Houston County. That's going to be, I think, out in Leon County as it crosses from Centerville over toward Houston County. So a severe thunderstorm warning right in here. But again, that's just west of Houston County. Here's Crockett. Look at all that lightning. I just sampled this a little while ago. It was 1,000 strikes in that cluster of thunderstorms. And it's marching eastward at roughly 30 miles an hour. We also have showers and thunderstorms up around Palestine. In that one little area over Centerville, within the last couple of minutes, 670 lightning strikes. So this is a very vivid storm, as I just showed you on the Nacogdoches camera. Just lots and lots of lightning flashing over the campus of Stephen F. Austin State University. So that's the cell that we're tracking into Houston County. You can see these other cells that are moving out ahead of it. Those are the ones sometimes that are most concerning before they get absorbed by the bigger cells. But look at this. There was a cell out here east of Waco. It's now catching up with that cell. So it'll likely merge into a larger cell. And then this one here south of Waco along our I-35. So what may end up happening here is we'll get some very strong straight line winds at some point. And they may push south toward Bryan. We're certainly hoping that. But I think Crockett is going to get hit with a lot of heavy rainfall. You can see, and that lightning also coming into Crockett. There may also be some hail in that core. We've had some hail in that thunderstorm before as it was marching eastward. So that's what we need to watch. Okay, I'm going back. I just lost the page with all of the comments. Okay. Mount Enterprise, tornado watch for Austin, Round Rock, Texas. It seems to be widespread. Yes, it certainly is. How's Palestine? Got family there. I'm in Coffee City. Is it headed this way? Not this cell in particular. This cell in particular is not headed up toward Coffee City. There are additional showers and thunderstorms that are forming to the north. Coffee City is not in the tornado watch as we go through the rest of the night. It's really going to be Palestine, Crockett, and then eastward. Mount Enterprise, yeah, you could see a stronger thunderstorm over in Mount Enterprise. There's also a chance to have a stronger thunderstorm into Angelina County and Lufkin. So that's the cell right now that is of most particular interest just because of the intensity here. And again, there was hail as it crossed I-45 or I-35, and now as it approaches I-35, we've got 522 lightning strikes on that. Meteorologist Chandler Jordan is with us. We're going to widen this out a little bit, kind of show everyone what's headed up toward Palestine. There's Jacksonville. So Jacksonville has avoided most of the night, has avoided a lot of rain and thunderstorms. But these thunderstorms are now beginning to cluster. And here's a lightning strike just in Tyler. I think we just heard that outside. So now we have a thunderstorm moving into Henderson and should move into Smith County soon. This is not a warned storm at this time. That tornado warning that's flashing was for the cell that is currently headed for Houston County when it was east of Waco. That was a little while ago. There's also a severe thunderstorm warning that was around Killeen, and now that is still warned at this time. So Nacogdoches, some thunderstorms headed into Nacogdoches. Things have quieted down right now at Center and Hemphill. We had that severe thunderstorm warning that rolled through parts of Shelby and Panola County and pushed down to the southeast. That's the cell that caused the hail damage in Henderson earlier this evening. So this severe thunderstorm warning goes until 8:30, so it's only for about the next 5 minutes. And we'll see, it looks like the lightning intensity has come down quite a bit on that cell in just the last few minutes. But there might be a little hail core right in there in that bright pink area west, and there it is. So quarter-sized hail, that's what this storm has been warned for. And again, as that pushes toward Crockett and Grapeland, we'll get a timeline on that for you. So if you live in Crockett or Grapeland, you can expect this hail. And it likely, that's a little bit bigger than golf ball, or a quarter-sized hail. So it might be getting close to ping pong ball-sized hail. That could do some damage to your car. So if you live in Grapeland, if you live in Crockett, you might want to get your car into a place where it's protected so that you don't get hit by these hailstones. If it's not, let's say, quarter-sized hail, there's a chance that there is a lot of hail that would cover the ground. We've seen this in numerous thunderstorms so far this evening. And so as it moves east at roughly 30 miles an hour, it's into Nineveh here in the next few minutes. Malvern by 8:52 would likely take it into Crockett sometime in that same within the next half hour. Should move into Crockett. So between Latexo and Porter Springs within the next half hour. So somewhere right here at Crockett, also within that half hour. So it'll hail for a little bit in Crockett. And then it settles in with just a lot of rain back to the west of after the initial Crockett. My brother lost his home in Troop. Really? Was that in a mobile home, Susan? We were out there with our crew. There was a mobile home near Troop that got flipped from straight line winds. From what I've seen of the video so far, it looked like a downburst in that area. Did anyone hear that monster thunder? Yes, we just did, Caleb. Heard that thunder. Tornado watch. I'm not sure that question. Tyler, thunder just shook my house. Yeah, we heard that here too. It was one big loud thunder clap for sure. A lot of lightning too. All right. Let's see. I'm just kind of going through the comments and see if there's anything. Let's see. That hailstorm here in Henderson was rough. Half the town has no power. Lindsay, I hope your power comes back on real soon because it's kind of tough to go through a night when it's just absolutely dark and there's a lot of other impacts because of that. And of course, the refrigerator's out and you're trying to keep things fresh and not from spoiling, and the power's out. It's tough to just kind of get around. So hopefully your power's back on pretty soon. You can see that hail core right here. You can see it underneath the lightning as it moves across 45, and just right here to the west of Crockett. We'll turn off the lightning and you'll be able to see that hail core here in just a second. All that lightning, and there it is. So it's just west of Nineveh. Maybe some quarter-sized hail in that. And again, that's likely going to head over into Crockett. Near Flow right now, west of Malvern, north of 7 Highway, near Raynard, southeast of Buffalo. So that's one cell. I guess we're getting showers and thunderstorms. Most of the activity so far and right now is over deep East Texas. And I think if we widen this out here, we're generally going to see these cells as they kind of merge, track eastward. There is some northward expansion on this, but you can see generally these cells are moving east and sagging south at the same time. To the north, we had rain, thunderstorms all day. Really took the energy out of the atmosphere, even though we're starting to see these showers and thunderstorms beginning to merge and join up. In some of our data that we talked about earlier pointed that out during our 5 and 6 o'clock news. But it appears that these cells, just looking at these, do not have the same appearance or intensity as these cells from west of Waco over now toward Houston County. So this might wobble back to the north a little bit into southern Cherokee County. Cherokee County, the southern half of the county is in the tornado watch. Nacogdoches County, southern half of the Nacogdoches County in the tornado watch. All of Angelina County, Shelby, San Augustine, Hemphill in the tornado watch that's in effect until 1 a.m. It's 8:30 right now, so that's about 4.5 hours to push the strongest of these thunderstorms all the way to the Louisiana border. So that may happen. We may need to extend this watch till maybe 1, 2, maybe 3 o'clock in the morning, especially if these anchor thunderstorms back here can maintain their strength. So I think what we're seeing is a large thunderstorm complex now forming. And so a couple of things that we'll need to watch will be the northern edge of that. Sometimes you'll get an area that can spin. And also the area on the far southern or far, let's say, east or west portion of it. Depends on the orientation. So in this instance, it's sort of from the northeast to the southwest. So you could have on the northeast corner a cell that's spinning, and then you could have one on the southwest part of the whole line or thunderstorm complex that could be spinning. So we still have a tornado threat is what I'm saying. Even though right now we have no tornado warnings at this time. I believe that tornado warning expires. There's more light or loud thunder here in Tyler. So you can see the lightning that just popped up here, but we do have a lot more thunder back here toward Athens. So our next round of heavy rain will come into Smith County. It's expanding up into parts of Wood County. Flash flooding. I think flash flooding is our big threat here in Smith County as we head now into the next, say, couple of hours, as another round of heavy rain comes through. I've seen some rain gauges down in White House that has had as much as 5 inches of rainfall today. Overnight, close to 3 inches of rainfall, and then this afternoon, an additional 2 inches of rainfall. So there has been just too much rain for the water, for the ground to absorb at this point. And so we're getting some flash flooding, and that could happen again, especially if we get another heavy cell that comes back into Smith County. We may have some more street flooding like we had earlier. But let's zoom in here on northern Cherokee County, northern parts of Anderson County, up into southwestern parts of Smith County. So essentially right in that area there. And you can see these thunderstorms increasing as they head northward toward Lake Palestine, toward Bullard and Jacksonville, and a lot of lightning headed over toward Grapeland. The lightning is more intense to the south, though there still is a lot of lightning, don't get me wrong, from Athens down to Palestine, but it's just not the intensity that we're seeing just to the west of Houston County. There are those lightning strikes around Smith County right now that we're starting to hear in the city of Tyler. So those are just on the, I think, South Tyler at this time. From Athens, these thunderstorms are moving northeastward. They'll move up toward Lindale. There are other thunderstorms here toward Rusk and Alto, headed toward Cushing and Laneville and Mount Enterprise. So there was a question about Mount Enterprise. Mount Enterprise is technically in the tornado watch, so we'll have to watch a cell like this as it moves northward. Sometimes these are the cells that can be most troublesome, especially if they're out there on their own with an environment that has kind of been untapped today. We haven't had a lot of activity down to the south. We've had most of our activity has been up to the north. I have family in Bell County. Is this close to them? Is which close to them? The thunderstorms out toward Waco may be closer to Bell County, but none of the ones down toward Crockett are. Let's see. Red wants to know about Longview. Longview will have some rain move in, but right now it's pretty quiet. Longview likely has some more thunderstorms. I mean, here's Longview up here, so up toward Interstate 20. You've got these showers of thunderstorms right now that will likely stay below severe limits at this point. Those will march eastward. The lightning, you'll get a couple of thunderstorms, but again, not the identity on these storms that would make me think that they're going to rotate or turn into any kind of a tornado warning, and not seen a lot of big hail on these cells either. These are the cells that have and now we got a severe thunderstorm warning for Houston County and the city of Crockett. So now Crockett, if you live down in Houston County, we've been talking about it, now you're going to get that very heavy thunderstorm that'll move in there. So what we can expect is heavy rain, vivid lightning, and the possibility of some quarter-sized hail. Maybe some wind gusts close to 60 or 70 miles an hour, especially as this whole thunderstorm complex begins to mature. And as we saw earlier in southern parts of Smith County, northern Cherokee County, it produced a damaging downburst wind in excess of 70 miles an hour, and it did some damage, toppling a mobile home near Troop tonight or earlier this afternoon, and may have done some other damage. Brendan Gurley is out in that area, and he was sharing with me video that he was shooting, and there were trees that were knocked over, lots of trees that were knocked over in a similar direction. So it tells us that this may have been a downburst wind, but even downburst winds sometimes can do damage like weak tornadoes. but it's all about looking at the way those trees were all pushed over in one direction and not twisted or turned. Ash, 8:37 for this heavy thunderstorm. Porter Springs, 8:44. Crockett at 9 o'clock for this heavy thunderstorm as it moves into those areas. Toward Kennard at 9:31, so that's going to be about an hour from now. So there is all that heavy rain, that hail that comes in. Crockett right now is just starting to lightly rain in Crockett, but the heavy rain is just back to the west of Crockett, and so that will push over those areas, continue working their way eastward. So Groveton is not in that severe thunderstorm watch. Nacogdoches is one area that we've been watching. I can flip back here to the Nacogdoches camera. We have this pointed out to the west. You can see the clouds. From time to time, we'll see a flash of lightning. I would expect the lightning to pick up in Nacogdoches within probably the next half hour or so as that thunderstorm moves in there. By the way, tornado watch is in effect around these cells. Anywhere in that yellow, that's the tornado watch. Interesting to note that the watch cuts across parts of Houston County, and then it cuts up through Sabine County, I believe. This is the watch that goes until 1 a.m. This portion of the watch goes until 10 p.m. So we'll see if, I think this will be covered. These thunderstorms should be out of the area or out of that watch area by 10 p.m. and moving into more of East Texas and into deep East Texas by that time. But that's the cold front coming through to the northwest of Dallas right now. And again, those are rain showers, that yellow kind of into that brighter orange, but certainly not the formation or form or intensity of these cells down here to the south. You can see some of the wind just kind of driving right there down toward Austin. So all of this could be some very strong straight line winds. We'll zoom in on that and kind of give you that idea on these storms. All right, so there's a look at it. Yeah, down toward Franklin, Cameron, Madisonville, or maybe some very strong winds headed into that area. Be interesting to hear if Crockett is getting much in the way of wind. It does look like there's some bright greens showing up down around the Crockett area, so there could be some very powerful winds blowing into Houston County right now. Is Mount Pleasant going to get any crazy weather tonight? Tasha, no. I mean, Mount Pleasant may have a thunderstorm, but your crazy weather is over. Nacogdoches, Darlene, we're tracking this cell here, depending on which direction it's going. If it moves back to the north a little bit, Nacogdoches would be in line. Right now, it appears that you'll have a heavy thunderstorm that'll come through Nacogdoches. That would also move through Alto and Rusk. But the heaviest portion, or the most severe part of that line, would stay just south of Nacogdoches, perhaps just brushing Nacogdoches. What about Flint at the lake? Rain and thunder will move through there. I don't expect anything severe. Is Henderson going to get hit bad again? Not with any more large hail in Henderson, but it may rain and thunder pretty heavily, which is only going to aggravate the situation that you've had so far. Beverly says we are between Elkhart and Palestine, and the thunder and lightning is pretty intense. Yeah, absolutely. We can show you that on our CBS19 radar. So Crockett, about 6 minutes from the a heavier portion of this cell getting there. The rain will pick up in intensity gradually, and then you'll get into the rain, and within about 12 to 15 minutes, you'll be into that hail core. That will continue moving eastward toward Cut and Waiches, and eventually over toward Wells by 9:33. And we got what about Jacksonville? Jacksonville's getting rain and thunder. Jacksonville, interestingly enough, is not in the tornado watch. Winona, rain and thunder, but I don't think you'll have anything severe for the rest of the night. Hallsville or Longview, it looks like some rain and thunderstorms coming into Hallsville or Longview, but again, I don't think it's going to be anything where we're talking about severe thunderstorm warnings. Nyla says she lives in Coryell and have thunderstorm and tornado storm will it hit up. I don't know about a tornado. For sure a thunderstorm, and yeah, and Coryell is within that tornado watch area, so just keep an eye on that. Hannah says she hates storms at night. The dogs usually keep her up, and she's going to give them meds. Hopefully that'll let them sleep. Elkhart, do we need to be in shelter? Let's see. you have a pretty strong thunderstorm moving through Elkhart at this time. You do not have a severe thunderstorm warning. Right now at Elkhart, you are just to the north of the heaviest portion of this cell. You can see how it's rotating through here. So the part to be concerned about would be out here toward Crockett, down toward Madisonville, and out in that vicinity there toward Ash and Cut and Grapeland. Elkhart is currently sitting just to the north of all of that. So in Elkhart, you're currently okay. Let's keep an eye on the storm, but I would not go to my shelter yet. No need to yet. Probably pretty loud night in Elkhart as you hear the thunder rumbling. Not, of course, as loud as it's about to get in Crockett, because that thunderstorm is really going to rage through there with a lot of heavy rainfall. Let's go back to, again, we are streaming on our Facebook page, on our YouTube channel, and at KCTV, or I should say, sorry, at CBS19.TV. So lots of lightning again in South Tyler. Loving it. All right, well, I'm glad the lightning, if you like the lightning show, it's about to come on back in. All right, what about Athens? Athens is getting a heavy thunderstorm right now, but not currently warned. So there, Chandler's pointing out Athens in that thunderstorm that's just kind of moved back with some heavy rain into Athens. Let's watch for the flash flood threat to increase in Henderson County. Tasha Miller, Mount Enterprise. Mount Enterprise, yeah, in a tornado watch, yes. So Mount Enterprise down here in southern parts of where it is, Rusk County here, that the tornado watch essentially is from almost Henderson southward and across the southern part of Cherokee County. If you look at the watch box, it cuts some of the counties in half. If you look at the counties that are included, typically we do a watch and we'll show you all the counties that the watch touches, and it will fill in the whole county. But if you look at really how it's cut aerially, you'll see that it does not include all of Cherokee County and does not include, say, for instance, all of even Nacogdoches County. It seems to leave the northern tip of Nacogdoches County off. It kind of cuts like this. That would include all of Nacogdoches County, but I have seen somewhere it does not include Nacogdoches County. So let's say it's essentially right in here. That's where the tornado watch boundary is, and then south. Currently, no tornado warnings going on. These are flash flood warnings near Mexia, out toward Whitney. Those are flash flood warnings where you see those pink boxes. Flash flooding is a concern tonight. Flash flooding will be a concern anywhere these heavy cells move through. What we're seeing here may be a sort of artifact or a three-body scatter strike. So it's sort of so the hail, there's so much hail in here that it's sending out this bad image to the south toward Madisonville. So what appears like you're trying to get a hook echo going is likely just the radar image hitting the hail and being reflected down to the ground and down to the south, because there is quite a bit of hail. There's hail in different locations here. So Lovelady is about to get into some of the heavier rainfall, but the hail, looks like this hail core has weakened just a little bit as it's moving toward Houston County. But Houston County continues to be in that severe thunderstorm warning. Hail size now just smaller than a quarter. Should be around a quarter for a severe thunderstorm warning or wind gusts over 58 miles an hour. By the way, the severe thunderstorm warning for Crockett and Grapeland go until 9 p.m. So about the next 15 minutes. And then to the southwest of that, toward Wealthy and Franklin, that goes until 9:45. So there are a couple of warnings out there. And again, the reason that this is warned, and notice the direction of the warning, it's going south. That's because these cells are pushing southward and out here toward Bremen, pushing to the southeast. And so right in here is potential wind damage. So we may be getting some very strong winds on the flank as this pushes toward Gerald, toward Burlington, toward Bryan and Madisonville. So this was something that we wondered about, where that squall line would set up with the damaging straight line winds. And we may also see it form out here toward Crockett in Houston County and work its way eastward toward Angelina County. So anywhere in here, we may have some 70-mile-an-hour gusts of wind. And this seems to be turning. So we'll keep an eye on these cells as they now move into Houston County and over into Angelina County, for the possibility of a tornado warning. Chandler, any signs from the Weather Service of any of that happening?
Nothing from the National Weather Service. They are pretty quiet at this moment, just continuing to watch these thunderstorms as we've got a tornado watch that's in effect until, we'll go ahead and actually advance through here and we can talk about the tornado watch. So these are all the counties that are under a tornado watch until 1 a.m. And again, our far west and southwestern counties are going to be under the tornado watch until 10 p.m. And that also more so extends into central Texas. Central Texas counties around Waco, that's where we have a watch that's in place until 10 p.m. And then throughout deep East Texas, that's mainly going to be where our watch is in place until 1 a.m. this morning. And then, of course, if there is a need to extend further downstream, we could see another tornado watch issued, or there could be a severe thunderstorm watch issued once we get past 1 a.m. if that is deemed necessary by the Storm Prediction Center. So we'll get back to our severe thunderstorm warning that we currently have in effect. This is until 9 p.m. for the counties that you see in front of your screen. In Houston County near Crockett, very heavy rainfall as well as some strong thunderstorms, and very likely you can hear quite a bit of thunder and see a lot of lightning outside, or even the flashes through your windows. We'll zoom on in a little closer and we'll put an updated storm track on you, and I'll turn the hail on and the lightning off. So because we have had the history earlier in Henderson, we had some hail that was big as a golf ball in size, and some of these hail cores are going to be a little bit smaller than that, thankfully, but it looks like along the Houston County thunderstorm warning county, or on the county line, we are getting some radar estimates of at least quarter-sized hail. So this will continue to move off to the east at roughly 35-ish miles per hour. These storms have been variable in speed over the last couple of hours, so we'll use the core of the quarter-sized hail on our radar estimate as kind of a guesstimation as far as what we can expect and where this hail core could travel within this cluster of thunderstorms. Eventually, this would put our severe thunderstorm warning into Crockett by 9:13. At that point, we'll need to see if the National Weather Service will decide to extend this warning downstream, which my assumption would tell me that they would, simply because of the gusty winds and the quarter-sized hail that we're getting estimated on radar.
Hey,
Also,
Chandler,
what's up?
can you go up to Palestine, between Palestine and Athens, and find the town of Bradford?
Okay.
Madison Wiltshire wants to know about Bradford.
Okay.
And so it will, it's probably, I remember seeing it when we were tracking, there's Blackfoot, Tennessee Colony, Athens, so somewhere, there it is.
Right on State Highway 19.
So right now, you're just getting some rain. It doesn't look like there's anything imminent. There's a couple of lightning strikes coming in, so a couple of rumbles of thunder, but right now I think Bradford will be okay for the rest of the night. It is in parts of northern Anderson County, and your tornado watch goes until 10 o'clock, so about another hour, but currently there is nothing threatening in that area.
Yeah, so that's some good news. And yeah, as Brett had been talking about, it looks like we're getting a general motion. If we kind of zoom out and look at the big picture of these thunderstorms, and I'll even slow the loop down a little bit slower here so we can kind of get a better picture of what's going on. So this is our complex of thunderstorms that we're working with right now, and this is where our severe weather threat really stems from through the rest of the night tonight. So this is where we're going to have to watch in the meantime over the next hour to an hour and a half for any type of severe weather. And notice the general motion of these thunderstorms. They're starting to turn more so farther to the southeast than the east. So that means that the general direction of the leading edge, if we put it into the current state is where it is, you can see that we're starting to get more so towards Houston and Trinity counties into far deep East Texas as well. I think these thunderstorms we'll continue to watch them slowly cluster together. And once they start to cluster together, in one sense, that's good for us, because that means that we'll start to slowly eliminate our tornado threat, and it more so at that point will begin to end. But the bad news, when you start to get clustered thunderstorms such as these, that's where we start to get to a transition of more of a damaging wind gust threat, especially along the leading edge of this complex of thunderstorms. There's also going to be embedded pockets of large hail. We've already had golf ball size hail throughout parts of Rusk County around Henderson, and for now, just some hail roughly the size of quarters within these clusters of thunderstorms. So hopefully we can keep these storms far away from us through a good portion of the night. They're starting to become more clustered though, so along the leading edge, we're just going to have a flurry of warnings that we're probably going to have to deal with as we get navigating through the next couple of hours. So we'll continue to watch things closely, and we'll zoom back in here a little closer to home, and you'll be able to see where we have the current heaviest pockets of rain, which are really right along the I-45 corridor near Centerville, Crockett as well. No indication from the National Weather Service if we're going to see any of these warnings extended, Brett, but I imagine with this line coming closer together, definitely we'll have some gusty winds and some large hail.
Okay, and then a question about Marshall, Texas. I think Marshall's not currently in the tornado watch.
Yeah.
I think anything else the rest of the night in Marshall will be rain and thunder. You can have some gusty winds, maybe around 30 miles an hour if everything came together just right. But really the dynamics currently, as Chandler was just talking about, really the focus for the worst storms will now be over deep East Texas from Houston County through southern Cherokee County, across Nacogdoches County into Angelina and Lufkin, and then eventually San Augustine and Sabine County. And I had a question here about Angelina County and Lufkin. How soon would the storms be there? Currently moving at about 30 miles an hour. Just a rough estimate would, from my vantage point here, if we do put a track on them, we could probably get you an estimation. It looks like it might be another hour or so before those storms around Crockett make their way into Angelina County, across northern parts of Trinity County, and then over toward Lufkin. So there's your track. So if they're moving 30 to 36, they'll be moving into Lufkin in about an hour. First, they're going to go through Smith Grove, Centralia, Groveton, and then Diboll at about 9:50. So that would put them into Lufkin about 10 o'clock, just as we're coming on for CBS19 News at 10. And if they maintain that current pace, then they'd be into southern parts of San Augustine County, I think down towards Sam Rayburn at roughly 11 o'clock, and then on the south end of Toledo Bend and through Sabine County then around midnight. So that the fact that we have the tornado watch in effect till 1 a.m., but that would just be the beginning. You can see all the rain and thunder that is west of that, but fortunately these storms look like instead of moving west to east over the same area, they're sort of moving south and southeast. So if they were moving straight west to east, I'd be real concerned about flash flooding because we'd have training going over the same areas. And if that were to occur, meaning that we'd have, essentially it looks like a train, right? So you'd have the engine, the box cars, and the caboose, and they would all move over the same area, and then you'd have a serious flash flood concern. But notice, and notice how they just kind of drop a little bit farther to the south. So if that can happen, that keeps an area, say like Crockett, gets heavy rain, but it just doesn't get repeated heavy rain. The heaviest then moves off to the south and east a little bit, as Chandler's showing you with those arrows. So that's going to try to head down toward Polk County, Jasper, and Newton County, and eventually into very deep East Texas, closer to Lake Charles, eventually. A couple of cells popping up here toward Hemp Hill, also into Angelina County. So these are some of the cells that can be concerning if they can start to turn until they can merge. Once they merge with those cells, they get ingested. I was just kind of thinking about this. It's just sort of like this is the big bass. These are the gizzard shad, and the big bass just eats all those little fish as it moves into that area. So, that's the biggest storm right now, and that is in Houston County. Even Anderson County, if you compare the lightning, you can tell the intensity on that storm. Yes, there's a thunderstorm in Palestine, in Elkhart, but nothing like what's going on right now in Houston County, because Crockett is just getting about ready to just have a loud, I mean, it's going to lightning, every second. There have been 520 some strikes to 1,000 strikes within just 10 minutes time that we've reported in that cell. So we know it's a very active, and here we're going to do this again. So 834 strikes. I believe that's within the last 15 minutes. 838 strikes. So we could even watch this number, and if that number increases, then that cell would be intensifying, and it would either get larger hail to it. There's so much lightning because there is so much ice within that storm. There's a lot of water at the base of the storm, a lot of water vapor. Then as you go higher up into the storm, a lot of ice crystals, and then maybe even some hailstones that are helping to create that lightning channel. And as that lightning channel is created, more and more of that vivid lightning comes on tap with that. If the updraft's increasing, then we'd have to be worried about a potential tornado warning. And so if I was in Crockett, I'd kind of right now, you need to know where you would go if there was a tornado warning issued. We don't have any indications one would be, but of course, as this storm moves east and the lightning increases in the cell and it moves into the city of Crockett, you recall a couple years ago, you had a tornado, I think it was last year, in fact, when a tornado moved across Houston County near Crockett. It was on the ground for almost 10 miles. So this does not look like that. That was a singular supercell by itself moving from southwest to northeast. But I just bring it up because you've had practice within the last year of where to go in case you have a tornado warning. And so this would be another one of those instances where you sort of keep that in the back of your mind. Tornado warnings issued, and you go right there. The other threat with this would be, very large hail, quarter-sized hail or bigger. And if we do get that big hail, we saw this in Henderson earlier this evening. It did damage. It broke windshields in cars, skylights. It broke the side mirrors on cars. It did damage to sheriff's department vehicles there. May have, and I haven't seen it yet, but sometimes large hailstones can bust the siding on a house, can bust the window on a house. So big hail is certainly, can be as damaging sometimes as straight line winds. And that's kind of what we had earlier this evening. So if there's any big hail within that cell, that would be the concern. But you can see this goes all the way back here, southeast of Thornton, pushing south and eastward, almost into Crockett right now. There's that hail core. So the strongest hail core is just still west of Crockett and still in the order of about quarters. There's another hail core coming up just crossing the highway north of Madisonville. So, and in fact, we're getting closer now, maybe into ping pong ball in that purple area right there, northeast of Leona. And that core is starting to expand. So ash may have to watch carefully because in ash you may get some very big hail. And we already know Crockett has the potential to see some very big hail. In fact, Chandler just sampled 1.5 inches, so up to ping pong ball sized hail with that cell right there as it moves closer to Houston County at this time. And there's quarter-sized hail up to the north toward Crockett. That's just west of Crockett. So how severe is Beckville going to get? Beckville likely going to have some rain and thunderstorms. I'm not 100% sure how severe Beckville will get. My thinking would be is that you will stay. I mean, you could have a severe thunderstorm warning. Again, the strongest storms now seem to be lining up anywhere south of Palestine, south of Jacksonville, and maybe closer to Nacogdoches to center. So Beckville's north of that. So I think Beckville, you'll be fine, but you'll have some rain and thunder. So is it looking clear in Tyler for the night? Let's see. Carissa, yeah, I mean, rain and thunder in Tyler for sure, and maybe even more heavy downpours, but I don't anticipate another tornado warning in Smith County. Currently, Smith County is not in a tornado watch. The tornado watch is to the south and to the west. Henderson County, west of Tyler, is in a tornado watch until 10 p.m., so that's about another hour. So the Storm Prediction Center would not throw Smith County into a tornado watch for just an hour. So unless something really developed quickly in and around Smith County, then I think we'll be okay for the night. Not to say that we wouldn't have a lot of rain and thunder and maybe some flash flooding on top of that. All right, is this the last storm for Tyler tonight? Tina, yes, once this storm passes through Tyler, Tyler will be done for the night. What about Grapeland? Grapeland right now is sharing the brunt of the storm with Crockett. The lightning is just so vivid right now in Grapeland and in northern parts of Houston County. We'll zoom in on that area, and you can see it's just kind of getting brushed, but there is quite a bit of lightning now moving up into Grapeland, and Grapeland is in that severe thunderstorm warning at this time. Also, the severe thunderstorm warning has been extended now into Trinity County till 9:45 and eastern parts of Houston County through that time, same time. Jessica wants to know about Jacksonville. Rain and thunder moving into Jacksonville. Jacksonville likely will stay, I think, away from any type of damaging wind and perhaps maybe a little bit of hail, but I don't know that it will reach the extremes that we've seen earlier. Let's see, Bullard, Ruth, I think you're okay in Bullard, rain and thunder for the rest of the night, but should stay near or below severe limits. Not to say that we couldn't have what we call a significant weather alert, meaning that the thunderstorm is producing 30 to 40 mile an hour winds, but it just doesn't meet that severe criteria. going on up down the line here. Christian wants to know, what is an eye on weather day? An eye on weather day is designated when we have a day like today. So we think there will be significant impacts, impactful weather, but not like when it just rains. That we don't want to just say, because it rains a lot, but we want to save those eye on weather days because we want you to pay attention to rapidly changing weather conditions and serious weather conditions like this. So this would meet that criteria of eye on weather day. An easy way to tell is if the Storm Prediction Center is going to issue a enhanced risk for East Texas, it's likely going to be an eye on weather day for us. If we, in the winter time, if we have either a freeze warning or any type of snow advisory, that's an eye on weather day. I mean, they could have a high impact on you. Fog advisory, probably not, because it lasts for just a couple of hours. What about if you were talking about a wind advisory? It depends on the strength of the wind. I mean, if we were talking about a wind advisory with gusts that were better than 50 miles an hour, 60 miles an hour, we might do an eye on weather day for that. If it's a wind advisory with gusts greater than 25 miles an hour, probably not. So we're saving those eye on weather days for exceptional, impactful days like this, where we have a tornado watch issued, where we're going to have perhaps larger hailstones. And I think Henderson getting hit with that hailstorm would fit that kind of example. That's why we would issue an eye on weather day, so you know what kind of bad weather is headed in your direction. All right, so back to these cells as they move eastward. And again, that storm is just not losing any type of intensity. In fact, I'm starting to see some lightning strikes now coming up on the Nacogdoches camera, and we're probably going to see more and more here as we head through. Okay, so Mary Mullins says, we're south of Elkhart, almost on the Anderson and Houston County line. Are we done for the night with the worst of it for the night? You are close to being done with it, not quite. You got probably another 15 to 20 minutes of that cell working its way in eastern parts of Houston County. And then you've got the other cell out toward Jewett that's headed to the southeast. That's headed, looks like, more for southwestern parts of Houston County. Super Sky the artist. Oh yeah, hey, this is what we're here for. He said, or they said, I'm glad CBS cares about all counties and keeping East Texas updated. Absolutely, we want to make sure that everybody's okay. In a house when tornadoes happen, Tina asks, should you close the doors to the bedrooms? You could. Now, especially if the bedroom had no windows, if you close the door to that bedroom, it's like it's producing or providing another wall. So yeah, I'd close the door to the bathroom if I went into the center portion of the bathroom or the closet. What you're trying to find, though, is the most center portion of your house. So if you can find that most center portion of your house, if it's a bedroom, all the better. If you close the door, you have windows in the bedroom, you might want to stay closer to the door, farther away from the windows for sure. All right, so this is the latest track. Smith Grove at 9:04, Glendale at 9:19, Centralia, Groveton at 9:30, Diboll about 9:49, Hudson around 9:55. I think we're going to have to take a break because we've got some recordings to do for the 10 o'clock news. So we are going to have to break for now. Where the hail at for Crockett? Should be at least moving into Crockett. If it's not there yet, it might be on this. We're gonna probably turn off the lightning here and give you a look at that. So we're zooming in on that hail core. So it's just west of Crockett. In fact, it's gotten a little bit bigger. So, Miguel, you've got that hail's about ready to move into Crockett. And again, it's in that purple vein, so it's likely ping pong ball sized hail approaching golf ball sized. So it's getting, in fact, that updraft has strengthened and the hail sizes have increased. All right, what about Maydell, Texas? Getting that question a lot. So let's check out Maydell, Texas. And Maydell, Texas for tonight, we will tell you that we are expecting Maydell, Texas to have for sure thunderstorms. But how strong will they be? Let's look at some of the data here. And I would think just rain and thunderstorms that would move into Maydale. I don't know that we're going to reach the intensity of anything that we've had earlier today. That would be really, I think Maydale is out of that area. All right, let me go back to the comments. Let's see. Traveling to Caldwell from Jacksonville. Oof. If you're out anywhere tonight, the visibility is going to be sort of obscured by the rain and the thunderstorms. So, all right, this is an interesting view here. If we look at this, just you can tell. So these are obviously the strongest thunderstorms with all that lightning, and then you have, they're not garden variety thunderstorms, but they're not severe. There is quite a bit of lightning. There are some heavy downpours with this as it moves into southern parts of Smith County into northern Cherokee County, but it's weaker north of Interstate 20. So it's sort of this transition zone between, rain and a few rumbles of thunder to some thunderstorms, to moderately strong thunderstorms, to strong to severe thunderstorms. And this is a really good image here, as you can see these really starting now to push southward. All right, so here's what we need to do. We're going to take a break so that we can do some work to get ready for the 10 o'clock news. But we appreciate you all hanging out with us here on our Facebook stream and on our CBS19.TV stream, and also on our YouTube channel. Please continue to add your questions. We'll try to answer these as we go through. But again, we have a tornado watch. Chandler can advance to the next graphic. So we'll go over the tornado watch again from essentially southern Rusk County. I'm not sure the city of Henderson is involved in that, but when they put the box out, they will include the whole county. So it's essentially Carthage, just south of Henderson, south of Jacksonville. Anderson County goes until 10 o'clock, but it's Houston County. It's kind of right up in like this. That's in the tornado watch. And anywhere south of that. That is until 1 a.m. All right, thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out. For meteorologist Chandler Jordan, I'm CBS 19 Chief Meteorologist Brett Anthony. Have a great night. We'll see you at 10 o'clock.